Aloha. It's an honor and pleasure to be here. I'm with my whole family. We flew in from Indonesia. We've been there the last few weeks on a family surf trip. Super fun, and we got the whole family surfing, which is a dream of mine to be at this stage of life where I get to pass on my passion for riding waves to my children. I will say the key is to bribe them a little bit with gummy bears, and that passion will come eventually naturally. But we had a wonderful day here in Porto yesterday. We took the subway into the city, the old town, and visited the beautiful church, got some great food, and we're loving our time here. It's a beautiful shift from the many different cultures of the world, including our hometown of Kauai. And well, I know that many of you are surfers, and today I just wanted to share a bit about my journey in surf, but more importantly, life and overcoming and the challenges that all of us face. And I feel like the ocean is such a beautiful picture of the many challenges that we may face in life. I know what it's like to feel when things are out of control, when things seem to be fighting against us, when we are just paddling upstream against the current, and sometimes you just want to go back to the beach, but if you keep going, you might get an incredible wave. And I feel like that's much like life. So we're going to check out a quick video of some chaos. Maybe not quite as chaotic as Nazare, but we'll get a little reminder of Jaws.
It was like, whoa, this place is crazy.
It feels and sounds like an avalanche when the waves break. With the helicopters flying around and the drones and the jet skis and the boats and all of the stuff that's happening, it just becomes so busy and there's so much energy, and then these giant sets come through and people are wiping out. All this really radical stuff is happening. It's like, I don't think there's anywhere in the world that is so intense.
So ever since I was a little girl, I loved surfing bigger waves, the gnarlier stuff, the heavier duty sort of surf. And I think maybe that had something to do with having two older brothers kind of pushing me and taking me to places I might not have gone by myself, but I loved it and I wanted that push and that challenge. But you know, when I was a young girl, I knew one day I would surf Jaws. And when I was working on my documentary, Unstoppable, I was like, okay, now's the time. I'm devoting all my time to surf trips and travel and pushing myself in all different types of waves, barrels, airs, big waves, competition. And I would say it was the peak of my surfing career, so to say. But Jaws was on my checklist. And I had one mellow surf out there, toe surf, like years prior, but never really like a solid swell. But I went and towed it, and that was amazing, super fun. But then I knew I wanted to paddle. And a lot of times when I would talk to people about paddling in big waves, they would say, well, that's pretty hard with one arm. Like, I don't know about paddling in at Jaws. And I was like, I think that just put more of a fire under my butt. It made me want to try even more and to do what many people would think is impossible. So I got geared up to paddle Jaws, and I got DK to kind of coach me out there, DK Walsh. And we fly over to Maui, and this was 6 months after I had had my first child, so it was quite a quick transition going from having a baby to getting back in shape and pushing it and kind of overcoming motherhood fears of like leaving baby on beach and getting out in the crazy surf. But we get out there and I'm just getting a feel. Jaws is like nothing else. No other wave I've ever surfed, and I'm out there and we're just getting a feel. And for some reason I decided I wanted to go left, which is a little trickier than the right. It's a little less predictable, but I'm going left because I'm a goofy footer. And we look out the back and I see a huge set wave coming. It felt like the biggest set of the day, and we paddling as hard as I can. And so we're all gonna go through a quick mental exercise here. Tom could come up and take over this, I'm sure, because he does the breath work for surfers. But I realize as I'm paddling out as hard as I can, I'm not gonna make it. And this huge wave of the set of the day is coming. It's probably like 15 to 20 foot. So not crazy jaws, but still very scary. I didn't need any coffee. The adrenaline is rushing through my body, and it's full fear factor. And as many surfers know, what happens when you don't make it? You get sucked over the falls and pounded. So we're all gonna take 2 big breaths. One more breath. And hold. Now I'm shoving you into a sleeping bag, zipping you up, shaking you all about. We're holding. There's nothing you can do to release yourself, so relax, hold your breath. Know that eventually the ocean will release you. So we get released, big breath, and I look out the back and there's 5 more set waves coming. And I feel like that's how life is. Sometimes you have a challenge come your way and you get pounded and you come up for air and then you realize there's 5 more set waves coming. So how can we prepare for those moments in life, whether it's in the ocean or in real life? The 5 wave set moments. And for me, that started off young. I didn't anticipate this set wave of losing my arm to a shark. All surfers have a fear of sharks, I would say, but we never think it's going to actually happen to us. And so as a young girl, facing something so challenging, so fresh, I think really shifted my perspective in life. And so let's go back to that time in my life as a 13-year-old girl.
I heard a big scream over there at the West Reef. I mean, like a fright scream. We got bit over there. We heard screaming, and then they all went in. And then we worked our way over slowly, looking for it.
I went in to see her. She was as white as a sheet of paper. I mean, she was like white from loss of blood. And I looked down, and her arm was gone. And it blew my mind. Heaviest moment of my life, just to see that.
That was pretty heavy. But I was so thankful she was alive.
Being her positive self, she looks at me and she goes, "Don't worry, Dad, I'm gonna be okay."
Yeah, I think so often life has so many unpredictable things that can happen, and I think when life throws us off and when we have those 5 wave sets, we have to have a plan of action, a way to work through that. And I think the beautiful thing is when you adapt and when you look for the bright side, when you choose to keep paddling against the current, even when you know another 5 waves are coming on your head, that's when the beauty comes and that's when the goodness flows. And so today I want to just encourage each and every one of you. I know everyone in this room has faced some challenge, and if it's not current, it's probably going to come at some point. Or maybe you can share a bit of what I've shared with the people in your life who may be going through a tough time. But little Bethany had to adapt. I had to all of a sudden figure out how to do everything different, like with one arm, and every single thing became a new challenge. And I think especially as I learned to surf, then it was a whole new set of challenges. And so today I'm going to share with you what I call my adapt method. It's things I've learned over the last 20 years of adapting, 20 plus years. I'm 35 now, so I'm getting some years under my belt, and I'm really feeling confident in this talk now that I've, lived through the challenges, the mini challenges beyond the arm loss. And there's so much we can learn along the way. And I think as we go through my Adopt talk, we'll finish with continually learning. But little 13-year-old Bethany woke up in the hospital, and the first thing I thought was, I'm so grateful to be alive. I was appreciative. I had appreciation that I could have died. I could have lost my life. And that appreciation took my focus on whoa, I'm still here. There's still more life. There's still more beauty to be had. Instead of focusing on the negative, the awful, the arm is gone, what am I going to do now? I was grateful to be alive. And as you saw in that quick video, my mom's like, we were so grateful she was alive. I could have died. It was such a long journey from where I lost my arm to get to the hospital, and 60% of my blood and all the things that could have gone wrong. Somehow God kept me alive, and there was more. And so I think as we go through life, as you adapt to be appreciative, to let that be a staple in your life, so when the hard hits, you have something to focus on. And just making it a habit is such a beautiful practice. And not only that, but as a mom, stress can be a real thing. Maybe as a wife too. But the cool thing is gratitude can change the chemistry in your brain. So it's proven that gratitude can lower 20% of your cortisol levels, so equaling in less stress and anxiety, if we want to get real nerdy here. But to me, it's even more than that. My faith calls me to be grateful. I look around at life, and I could focus on the negative, and sometimes I struggle with that, but I try to always course correct and focus on what is good and beautiful and lovely in each and every day. I think that as we face those challenges, especially when they come back to back to back, having appreciation for life can truly shape the future. So instead of focusing on my arm's gone, I can't do so many things, can't play guitar anymore, can't play ukulele, losing, I don't know if I'm going to be able to surf, but I'm grateful to be alive. And then little did I know, eventually I was going to get back in the water and rock it and have a blast doing it. But as we adopt, we are directed. I think so often in my life, having direction was so key. And not kind of just wandering about aimlessly, but choosing our path and choosing our direction. I feel like a lot of our young people are lacking direction because so much of their time is spent in entertainment, through social media, through TV, through just kind of watching everyone else's life. And so they slowly over time lose their direction. And so, but even when we're older, I think we can lose direction. So if we're losing, I think for me, that's been such a key thing in my surf career and motherhood and the many choices that I chose to put my life towards. Having direction was so key. And so let's check out this video, because when we have direction and we choose where we're going and we work towards that through steps and action points, I like the picture of a ladder. So you have a big ladder, and if you can't even reach your first, pull-up point, you're never going to get to the top of the ladder. And so as we have direction, but we make it achievable and approachable, little steps along the way, and then eventually we'll get to the top of the ladder, and then we'll find a new ladder to climb. But I loved, doing airs in surfing was really hard for me, but it was really fun to push it. And so let's check out this video, because when direction comes into play, that's when things connect and come together, and it's really fun.
It takes a lot of determination, strength, and willpower to let go and be patient with yourself and go through 100 failures to get that one success. sent me a text of her doing this sick Air 360. I knew she was very driven and motivated to do it, but to text me a week later, I was blown away.
That feeling of nailing like the gnarliest thing I've ever done felt so crazy good, and just keep feeling that drive. It's so fun to see like the next generation of, thank you. I think it's really fun to see the next generation of young girl surfers coming up, pushing it in the airs and stomping some crazy airs. It's just so exciting to see where surfing is heading and going. And I think what's so beautiful about this next generation, like while there's some negatives to social media, there's also some positives because they're being reminded of what's possible, like who's doing what, and they want to compete with one another. And it's this beautiful side of competition that's pushing and elevating the sport. And so young males and females are finding new direction and starting it even younger, and it's just so incredible to see. So cheering on the next generation. I'm still trying to pop some airs here and there, and I'm usually falling and flopping a lot, but it's still really fun to try. I landed a few in Waco the other day, and yeah, just thankful that I had the direction though, and sometimes that required bringing in other people. But as we're adapting who we associate with, our community, and this is something I love so much about surfing, is we can come together as a community and egg each other on and cheer each other on and, you know, help dig each other out of the dumps and, you know, just push each other in a beautiful, loving community. And I think it's so key when that 5-wave set comes to have your community. And I think a lot of society often misses something like this, and we're blessed to be able to have that within surfing and to not, you know, forget the beauty of that, and to know that there's a purpose to having who you associate with in your community, who speaks into your life, your friends, your family, mentors, people who can come alongside of you, so that when you feel that weak point in those moments that can be so hard, we can still have hope and joy and overcoming. As we adapt, we are persevering, and I was talking with a reporter before I jumped up here, and she was like, you know, how did surfing affect you in overcoming your challenges? And I just think surfing is the most beautiful picture of perseverance, because sometimes the ocean can be so ugly, mean, and hard, and yet it's not being biased towards anyone. It's hard on all of us. We can all paddle out in the same environment, and some of us will feel stoked and some of us might feel really frustrated, but it challenges you in a way to persevere through those pain points or the moments when you're doubting your abilities because you just can't seem to land a maneuver, but then eventually it comes together, and those are like the high points. But in those moments where you're kind of like, I don't know, I love being able to raise my children because I'm like, okay, let's take that moment in the ocean when we were really frustrated and it didn't go so well, but then later on it went amazing and we had the best session ever. And I'm definitely experiencing that with my 7-year-old who's like, he's just gotten over that hump of like, do I even want to surf? And now he's like got the surf bug, the gummy bears paid off, and but he has these moments where he's like, oh, the ocean's so annoying. And then other moments he's like, this is the best thing ever. But the ocean has taught me so much about perseverance and pushing through those pain points and those self-doubt and those moments when you're just kind of questioning your life, so to say. But I think of my life and I'm like, what if I hadn't persevered? Where would my life have gone? And so it's in those key moments where you lose your arm or something really awful happens. If you don't choose to persevere, you might not see the light or the beauty or the outcome that can be so amazing and wonderful. And instead, your life might turn in a really different direction. And maybe there will be good there too. But I think when we choose to persevere through the hardest of hards in life, that's when we can have a ripple effect. And we can empower those around us. And we can be the association or the community that lifts others up and is a reminder of hope, grit, perseverance, determination. And so, to me, persevering is not just for myself, but it's for those around me. And when one of us perseveres, it reminds those around us that they too can persevere. And so, looking at our community and how can we be a light in our community, and when persevering pays off, it's that much more awesome. So we're gonna check out a quick video of like when persevering pays off and everything flows together well. First, I wanted to do a couple of surf trips to fine-tune my surfing and my fitness. The more opportunity you have to perform and work on your surfing, the better you get.
She like buckled down and trained her butt off.
So whether it's in the ocean or in land, whatever aspect of life, my hope is that my story will remind you to adapt, to know that you too can overcome, that you too can have a ripple effect. And when you feel like you've hit that wall of like, I can't keep going anymore, this is the number one thing I would hope that you can remember from my talk today is as we adapt, we're teachable. And this has been so key, that my willingness to be teachable from a young girl, and I'm thankful that I started getting surf coaching so young. I was like 8 years old when I joined my local surf team. And I realized that if I listen to my coach, I'm gonna get better at surfing. And so I started to embrace that teachability. But fast forward, what does that look like as an adult? And you know, the journey between childhood to now, being willing to seek others who can teach me something that I don't know, to help me overcome that challenge or that pain point or that struggle, or help me reach those goals and find my better direction. When I'm at a loss, I can find someone else who's been there, done that, already, you know, faced certain challenges that maybe I have not. And so I hope that you will remember to be teachable. I think no matter what age in life, we can find someone who can share insight that maybe we don't have, so that we can keep going, so that we can adapt and persevere, endure, and have a beautiful outcome, so that we can go and have a ripple effect. And that makes life more about others and less about ourselves. While of course I want to have a lot of fun out there, I also want to have an impact. And so by me adapting, I know that that impact and that ripple effect will go beyond me and spread to the world around me. And maybe it's not on a large scale like me, but like I still think there's beauty in the everyday adapter, the everyday person who makes for a stronger society. And so as you go about life, I hope that you too will adapt in every aspect, that you can be appreciative, that you can find your direction, choose who you associate with, persevere, and finally be teachable. So, and I've found that when I adapt, like life is that much more fun. It's more beautiful, it's more fulfilling, and it has purpose. And the cool thing is, like when I adapted, like I was able to go on and continue surfing. I didn't know anyone who surfed with one arm, but the willingness to explore and to adapt and look for a different way of doing things led me to continue surfing and go on and do so many rad things with my life. And to me, it's not about me, but you know, then it had the ripple effect, and being able to share my story through my book and movie and foundation, and now with my own family. That's arguably the most important part of my life, being a mom and being able to cheer my children on. And so I hope that if you're in a feeling or a season where you feel like you're getting the third set wave on your head, that you too will adapt, and that beauty will follow when you choose to approach life in this fashion. So I'm cheering y'all on. Aloha, and thank you. I don't know if I can